This is the Mazda CX-5 and it's a bit like full-fat original Coca-Cola. Yeah. Now you're probably wondering why that is. Okay, let me inform you. The Mazda CX-5 accounts for 25% of Mazda's global sales. The original Coca-Cola accounts for 25% of all global soft drink sales. So there you go, a little fact you've learned. I'll just put this down because I won't be drinking that because it's full of calories. Anyway, this car, it's probably the kind of vehicle you're going to be looking at if you're considering something like a Ford Kuga, a Volkswagen Tiguan, because it's a decent sized family SUV. Now, one of the things I really like about the Mazda CX-5 is that it doesn't look that much different regardless of which model you go for. So even the lesser versions have lots of chrome about the place and look pretty much identical to the higher spec versions. The only real difference are the size of the alloy wheels. Now on the inside, there are a few upgrades that you get with the high spec versions. For instance, it's mainly just to do with this inlay here. So on the top spec car, you can have wood inlay. This is the mid one, so it has this kind of metallic-y wood effect, and then the entry level car has something different. Still, all models get like these shiny effects around the vents. I like that. They also get this leatherette effect with stitching here on the dash, and it extends up here onto the door tops and down here. In fact, even down here, that's all soft and squidgy. The controls for the ventilation system, all very solid. In fact, all the controls are nicely damped. It feels like quite an expensive car in here. I also like the fact that you've got these little metallic edges to the window switches, feel expensive, as does the control for the side mirrors. In fact, there's lots of shiny bits of trim about the place to brighten things up, and down here as well. Feels very, very premium, but then you work back here and this is like some of the most horrible plastic I've encountered in any car ever. Also, I'm not too impressed with the way this center console does just wiggle a little bit if you move it. And what the heck is this? Look, CD player. Never going to use a CD. I just use Spotify, but I suppose I can store credit cards and stuff in there. Oh, I almost sucked it into the player. Bit disappointed that Mazda didn't use the opportunity to let you control some other functions from the infotainment system through there, such as the radio, and switch through different tracks and maybe show a little bit of navigation. But all you get for the infotainment system is this little screen on the top of the dash. Now, it's in your eye line, which is good, but it's a pretty small screen by today's standards. You can use it as a touchscreen, or I can swivel through the different menus using the control wheel. Actually, when you're driving, you can only use that. It doesn't let the touchscreen work anymore, just probably for safety reasons, but lots of other cars have touchscreens, and I'd rather have the choice myself. Thank you very much, Mazda. If I'm brutally honest, I don't think it's particularly great. So it feels old-fashioned. The graphics are low res. It's not the fastest to respond. The layout of it isn't great either. It's fiddly to use this control. It's just not as good as you think it's going to be. So you do want to use it static to do any programming of the sat-nav. Yeah, it's doing my head in already. All right, go back to the shortcut button. I can't zoom. Does it pinch and zoom? No, it just moves around. I have to use this button to zoom in and out. Also, adding a waypoint can be a bit of a faff as well. It's just not all that easy to use. In fact, the specification of the infotainment system you get on a Hyundai Tucson is just superior. Finally then, let's talk about practicality here in the front. The position is bang on. Well, actually the steering wheel is quite nice and sporty, it feels good. There's an average amount of adjustment in it for this kind of car. What you might be concerned about is that you can't get the seat that low in this CX-5, but it doesn't matter because there's so much headroom here in the front that even if you're tall, you're going to be fine. And you can jack up the seat quite a long way to get a good view out if you're short, which is good news. Then in terms of cubby spaces, well, we've got a little storage area down here and a charging point, so you can just put your phone in there and just let it charge. You've also got some storage under here with a little tray, look at that. And there's 2 USB ports and another 12-volt socket in there. Look, there's some more room underneath if you need it. The location of the cup holders isn't ideal. I mean, they're big enough to take larger bottles as well as coffee cups. But if you look at this, you end up just resting your arm on the bottle and it sort of gets in the way of the gear selector a little bit. The door bins are pretty ideal though. Look at this, 1.5 litre bottle in there, and you can even lay another 500 millilitre bottle down behind it, so plenty of useful storage in the door bins. But the glove box is just only so. Yeah, what's it like in the back though for people? So one of the things I want to point out first of all about this CX-5 is that these rear doors, can you see, they open to 90 degrees, but the door isn't all that long, so it's less of an issue like trying to open it in tight spaces. Even though the door isn't huge, the actual door opening is big enough to maneuver and get in quite comfortably. And you just well, flop down into the seat because it's about the right height for your hips. It's a really perfect height for getting in and out, which is ideal if you're carrying older relatives. And they'll have plenty of space back here. Look, I've got loads of room. I'm 179 centimetres. This seat's my usual driving position. Lots of knee room. Once again, look at that. Loads of headroom. People well over 6 foot will be fine here. Also, because these seats are raised quite up, a bit of a problem sometimes in the front, but here in the back, it means that you really can stretch out in it. It is just a shame that you can't recline these seat backs. Look, well, you can. A little bit, what, like that much? Can an inch make all the difference? It does actually make it a little bit better, to tell you the truth. When it comes to carrying 3 people at once, it's all right because the footwells are big. You do have this bit of hump in the floor. The middle seat isn't too bad and it's doable just about. It's not the most comfortable. If you want to carry 3 people in the back at once, you're going to be a little bit better off with a Volkswagen Tiguan because it just feels a little bit more roomy. If I fold this down, look, you'll see you have a little extra storage area here with a USB input. There's 2 of them there, so 2 people can charge their mobile phones. Some weird storage area there, which I can only guess is for a pen, and then 2 cup holders here, though they are quite shallow. The door bins are a decent size. They're here in the back, so that's a litre bottle, no problem there. You've got some storage in the back of the seat backs, and it's not kind of cheapo net. It's blended in with the seat, which does look posh. Once again, the quality back here is really good. Much better quality here in the back than in a Kia Sportage, which just doesn't match the quality in the front, whereas here it does. It's just, you know, you don't feel like you're in the cheap seats at all. What's not so great though is this, look. Roll down the rear window, doesn't go all the way down, so you can't really lean out. Kids might find that annoying. Another thing I find annoying is the fact that the coat hook is there, so if you want to hang a coat up with someone in the back, it just gets in the way. And look at this. Well, first thing you can notice is the headlighting moving when I press the reading light button, but it's the fact that, look, it's old-fashioned filament bulbs, an orange bulb. Can't complain about fitting a child seat in here. It is relatively easy because you've got quite a lot of room to manoeuvre. The Isofix are okay to get at as well, so it's easy to install the base. Can be a bit of a problem if you want to carry 2 child seats in the back at once and try and squeeze someone in the middle because there isn't much room, but it is better in that respect than something like a Hyundai Tucson or the Kia Sportage yet again. Anyway, let's move on to the boot because this car's boot is about the same size as the Sportages and the Tucsons really. You're talking around 500 litres. It's quite a wide space. Now there is a bit of a boot lip, not much though. You can easily lift stuff over that, not a problem at all. More of a problem is there's no hooks to hang shopping off, so I'm going to have to just get rid of my fake shopping. There are a few tethering points down here, and there's a couple more there. You have some underfloor storage here, but not much. If you look up there, you've got your tyre repair kit. There are a few cubbies just here and here for some more storage here in the boot. So functionality isn't great, apart from this, which I absolutely love. Look. You've got 3-way split folding rear seats, and I can do it from here. So that does the middle bit. Ta-da! Then I can do the other sides there like that. Go on, go down. Right, snagging on the seat belt a little bit. And then you've got a reasonably large load area there. It's pretty big, and it's continuous pretty much the floor, so you can slide things to the front. It's very easy to pack it full as well because you've got this big wide opening. You can easily shove a bike in there without having to take any of its wheels off. With the seats in place, you can fit a baby buggy under the load cover and 2 small suitcases on top of 2 large suitcases. However, you can't carry 2 boxes underneath the load cover because in that car you can lower the boot floor to just squeeze them in, but not here. Still, that's a minor complaint because this is a very practical car that's also supremely comfortable.
However, this car isn't perfect. Here's 5 annoying things about it.
All but the entry-level car has a heated steering wheel, which is good. What's not so good, though, is that it only heats this part of the steering wheel, which, yes, I know ideally you should have your hands at 2:45, but some people like to rest their hands on the top and the bottom, and it's just not heated there. While the load cover is lovely and light, it's just a little bit too big to fit underneath the front floor, so you have to leave it there. The definition of the reversing camera is just terrible. It's like looking back into the 1990s. I mean, look at the awful graphics for the guidelines. While the Isofix anchor points for a baby seat are easy to get to, after a while and plenty of use, this bit of leather just gets kind of parted, so it looks like there's just a hole in your seat. There's no central button to operate the central locking, instead you have to use the one on the driver's door. and it's a little bit stiff, and the way it's designed sort of hurts your fingers, especially when it's cold like today.
Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5.
The car is fitted with something called IE Lube. What happens is when you're slowing down or braking, the car recoups that lost energy and stores it in the battery so it can be used to power all the electrical items, and that helps improve the economy. This latest CX-5 is up to 90 kilos lighter than the previous CX-5, which is about the weight of me, plus an extra 15 kilos. In bends, the car automatically adjusts the throttle slightly, though you don't actually notice it, to increase either the amount of grip at the front tyres or the back tyres, a bit like a racing driver does to maximise grip, to enable them to go around corners as fast as possible. If you get the all-wheel drive version of the CX-5, it has 27 different sensors which can read the terrain you're driving on and the weather conditions, and then decide how to distribute the power between the front wheels and the rear wheels. This new CX-5 is longer and lower than before, and this makes it more aerodynamic, which boosts efficiency. Right, let's see what this CX-5 is like to drive in town. So I've obviously got a good view forward because I'm raised up, and that helps when going over speed humps. In fact, it's pretty good over speed humps, you hardly notice them at all. When the road's broken and uneven like this surface here, you can feel that the suspension is a bit on the firm side. You do feel the car move around a bit beneath you. It's not as jiggly as a Hyundai Tucson, but it's not the softest suspension in the world. And let's see what it's like for manoeuvrability. I'm going to do a U-turn around this mini roundabout. Come on. Hopefully it's not going to be too embarrassing. Oh, can I make this? Oh, it's tight. Sorry, people. The turning circle isn't the best. Let's see how easy this car is to park. So the first thing to note is that the brakes are nice and progressive. You don't end up suddenly jerking to a stop. The gear shift is fairly notchy, but in a good way. Makes it feel sporty. I do like the fact the mirrors are big and I can actually see the curbs. The steering is precise, but it's not too heavy. So it's easy to go from lock to lock like that when you're having a nightmare parking like I clearly am. That's not the car's fault, because actually view out the back's good, view out the mirrors is good. That wasn't too bad at all. That's nice and neat. This is quite an easy car to park considering the size of it. Get out on the motorway and this car's a really good cruiser, so it's reasonably quiet, feels planted as well at speed, and this 2.2 litre 150 horsepower diesel, I'm at 60 miles an hour. If I floor it, it's got enough grunt to overtake. It's supposed to do 58 miles per gallon, this engine, but I'm getting 44.7, which actually, for the real world, isn't too bad at all. Now, one of the things I really like about the CX-5 is when you encounter a twisty road, that slightly firm suspension, which can be annoying in town, does pay off because it stops the car leaning in the bends and it goes around corners really, really well for a tall vehicle. It's actually, dare I say it, fun. So then, what's my verdict on this car? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the Mazda CX-5. It's a practical, stylish, lovely to drive family SUV.